Hello and welcome to JRock's Babylon News Special. This is our special on the latest Helix album, Scrap Metal. And we're going to be talking all about this because, man, this is one album that I got to tell you guys that I really enjoyed, checking out since I've had it. But let's get into this. I've been a lifelong Helix fan, and I had the opportunity myself to interview Brian Vollmer, the lead singer, on three different occasions, and I've always found Brian to be nothing but friendly and down to earth, and just an all around great guy. And we're gonna be talking about that. But Scrap Metal is legendary Canadian rocker band Helix's 14th release, folks, on Paris Records. And I just, like I said, it's such a great album. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about it. The album was released on January 23rd, 2026, folks. And so let's get into this because this is really an album that deserves to be talked about, deserves to be highlighted. And that's why we're doing this here special tonight. Okay, and the album features 5 previously unreleased songs. So which 5 songs are those? Okay, you may ask. Okay, Stuck in the 80s, Fast and Furious, Pretty Poison, Hot, Heavy and Wild, and Money Goes with Everything. Just some great tunes, folks. And so again, what we get with the Scrap Metal album here, and that's what this is here. 5 of the tunes, like I said, are songs that were already written, but maybe not necessarily recorded, or maybe some bits and pieces were recorded. And then Brian went back and he revisited these songs, he put them together, and finally, these songs finally had a home on Scrap Metal, and they finally saw the light of day. And so again, I think you got to kind of understand what the album is. It's not like this is an album where the band went in and recorded 12 new tunes. No. And then there are 5 other tunes on the album that were previously released on other Helix albums, but maybe for whatever reason or not, those songs maybe didn't get the attention the band thought they deserved. So they're reappearing here on Scrap Metal, kind of and hope that those songs will kind of maybe get a second life or second look, a second listen. Maybe this time around with the Scrap Metal album doing as good as it's done, maybe people will finally give those songs a listen. I think that was the whole point with this album. Now, Stuck in the 80s, okay, that's the very first music video that they released, when before the album even came out. That was the very first music video came out. And let's talk about the song and the music video, folks. Stuck in the 80s is a 1980s flashback in the Helix time machine. Helix is a band that always delivers the metal goods, folks. Lead singer Brian Vollmer, he is in the video, and he is very much the ultimate rock star. I mean, you look at Brian, he very much looks like an 80s rock star. He looks like, he came from the 80s. Although Helix is very much rooted in the 1970s. I mean, Helix goes all the way back to the 1970s, but they got bigger and bigger as the years went. Not bigger, but their popularity grew. And so when MTV hit them in the 1980s, and they had songs and videos like Heavy Metal Love, and Good to the Last Drop, those started to get a little more airplay on MTV. And Helix just one of those bands. They're one of the bands that maybe should have been bigger, but they're still alive and kicking. They're still here. So you've got to love them for that, and they for continuing to pump out new music. In fact, when I recently interviewed Brian Vollmer for my Make Some Noise show with my great co-host Jamie Bostel, one of the things Brian and I talked about the fact that Helix is much more of a nostalgia band. They could be one of these bands that just go out and every summer and do the greatest hits tour. They do that, but they also pump out great new music, such as this new Scrap Metal album that we're talking about today. Now, Fast and Furious both the song and the video are so 1980s. I want my MTV back, folks. It feels like the 1980s all over again. You remember when you used to watch back MTV back in the 1980s, and they had all those commercials. I want my MTV. I want my MTV. I want my Helix. And so it kind of the video gave me that kind of feeling. And so let's talk a little bit more about it now. Okay, as far as the Fast and the Furious video, I'm going to kind of describe it for you guys now. Fire, flames, race car, hot chick, palm trees. What else do you need to be transplanted back into the 1980s, folks? The Fast and Furious music video is primarily a lyric video. Now let's talk about lyric videos. Lyric videos it's become a common practice in the music industry. Especially, it's a great way to promote albums and songs. Not doing a traditional video, and also it helps to keep the cost down a little. Doesn't cost as much to make as those big video productions they did back in the 1980s. I mean, you used to like even look at someone like Michael Jackson's Thriller. That was like a mini movie, going on the set of a mini movie set, and that's exactly what it was. But it cost maybe just as much to make a video like that back in the day as it did to make a feature-length film. And the other thing I love about lyric videos is the fact that the lyrics are scrolling across the screen and you can actually see what the lyrics are. I mean, how many times do you find out? Oh, I've been singing this. I've been singing that song all my life the wrong way. So I love it for that reason alone. But again, if you look at both back, Stuck in the 80s and Fast and Furious, they got that kind of 1980s flashback look and appeal. And I think both songs are perfect. They go together. These are perfect songs to do a video for, to promote the album. But let's talk a little more about the videos. Helix frontman Brian Vollmer has said that Fast and Furious was inspired, and if you listen to the song and how fast-paced it is, you can get this feeling, was inspired by touring with Motorhead in the early 1980s. May Motorhead and Lemmy rest in peace, but man, I always love me some Motorhead. You never go wrong with Motorhead. But you listen to Fast and Furious, and I can kind of see how that could be inspired by touring with Motorhead. It's kind of got that loud Motorhead vibe. So I love it for that reason alone. And so Brian Vollmer has also said that in an effort to take part in modern music industry traditions, creating a lyric video also helps keep production costs down. Lyric videos are budget-friendly promotional tools. That's really what they are, folks. And it's like anything, you can get real creative with it, or you can just throw a piece of crap out there and maybe it'll stick. But in watching the videos for back Stuck in the 80s and Fast and Furious, these are quality top tier videos that they look like something you would have seen on MTV back in the day. And I gotta laugh when I hear that Fast and Furious is simply a lyric video. Well, that is like one of the most over-the-top lyric videos I've ever seen. It looks like a full-blown on music video, but I will let you guys be the judge of that. Now, also, in regards to the Fast and Furious lyric video, they use fast cuts, text synced to the beat, heavy use of speed imagery, metallic textures, high energy graphics. The lyric video was created to match the pedal to the metal theme of the lyrics. Money Goes with Everything is another Helix song straight out of the 80s. again, don't ask me what the song's about. I don't think it's supposed to necessarily be about anything. Just a fun-loving rockin' tune. Got a bit of an AC/DC vibe to me when I listen to that. Um, One of my all-time favorite songs on the new album is "Tie Me Down," and "Tie Me Down" is what I call the softer side of Helix. Just a great tune. Again, and I think because it's so different sounding, it's not quite a ballad, but it's got elements of that. It's just kind of Helix on the softer side, and that's a pretty good thing. And I think the fact that it's so different from everything else on the album, that's another reason it's going to stand out. Now another song I really love on this album, "The Same Room." Again, "The Same Room" is what I call the Helix call of arms. When Helix, the band, and their fans come together and unite as one because of songs like this and such as "Heavy Metal Love." I mean, these are these songs. While it's not an anthem song like, let's say, "Rock and Roll Night" by Kiss, very much like when you go to a Kiss concert, you always know the final song of a Kiss concert is gonna be "Rock and Roll All Night," and no matter how many times you've heard that song or rocked out to it, you never get tired of hearing it. I mean, I'm going to be rock and roll all night and partying every day until the day I die. And so again, "The Same Room" is not a rock anthem or anything like that, but it is very much like a Helix battle cry or rallying cry where a band and the fans could really unite in a song like this. It has the power to be that type of song, I think. And it's interesting because, again, it's not a rock anthem at all, but it very much, I think, could get people at a Helix concert, up on their feet. Now, a very interesting song that is actually the final song on the album that ends the album is "The Pusher." Now, this is a different sounding song for Helix, which is why the song really stands out on its own. It's the perfect song to close this album with. A little bit of rock and roll history for you folks regarding to the song "The Pusher." First of all, "The Pusher" is not a Helix original tune. And you're going to be amazed when I tell you, I know you're getting ready to ask, okay, so if it's not a Helix original, who originally recorded "The Pusher"? Okay, well, you're gonna be amazed when I tell you that the song dates all the way back to 1963. It was written by this. Let's see. It was written by Hoyt Axton. The song was made famous by legendary rocker Steppenwolf. The song also appeared in the 1969 movie Easy Rider. Now, in doing a cover, one thing I always dig about that is, okay, you'd think maybe they're going to do a Steppenwolf song. You'd expect them to cover maybe maybe a more wider known tune like Born to Be Wild or Magic Carpet Ride, but no, they went with something like "The Pusher." And I got to tell you guys, I've never heard "The Pusher" until I heard the Helix version. And after hearing the Helix version and finding out it's a Steppenwolf song, when I get done recording this Helix special tonight, I'm going to go and check out the Steppenwolf song, and I will let you know what I think of it and how it compares to the Helix song. Oftentimes, people have the mindset that, well, you can never beat the original. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. Like a great case of that is you look at something like when Tesla covered the song "Signs." It was a hit in the 1970s by this other band, the Electrical Band, but nobody. I mean, from what I actually interviewed Tesla guitarist Tommy Scio, the original guitarist, and he told me, he goes, "Oh yeah, that song was a big hit for the Electric Band," but he says Tesla had a bigger hit with it, and so it's kind of interesting when stuff like that happens. But let's talk a little more about "The Pusher" and why it's such a special song. Now, lyrically, the song is about soft drug dealers who sell soft drugs such as marijuana versus drug dealers who deal in more dangerous, destructive drugs such as cocaine and heroin. And just to kind of give my 2 cents here, if anybody cares, I've never been one to promote any kind of drug use or alcohol use. It really kind of irks me that you've got drug dealers out there making a living off of getting other people addicted and stuff like that. And I'm just not a big fan of it. We'll just leave it at that. Now, Helix decided to include their cover of the Pusher on their 2026 album Scrap Metal because it's part of like long growing tradition of connecting hard hitting rock songs with a classic rock sound, and that's very much a great way to describe Helix. Now, again, look at the album cover here. It looks like your typical like construction crew on a construction site, kind of playing along with the scrap metal title. Brian Vollmer, if you look close enough, you can find him. He's also on the back cover. Now, again, on scrap metal, we get 12 great tunes, 5 that were previously released, 5 that have never been released until the scrap metal album. I got to, before ending the Helix special night, I got to say that I've had the opportunity, like I said, to interview Brian Vollmer on 3 separate occasions now. And he's always super fun, nice guy, super funny guy, just the ultimate rock star. I mean, Brian is, this last time when I interviewed him for my Make Some Noise interview show with my great co-host Jamie Bostel, who I do that show with, Brian actually forgot that we had scheduled an interview. This is kind of a funny behind the scenes story. And I was able to call him up and say, hey, Brian, I just want to remind you about, we had an interview scheduled today. He said, oh, Jason, he goes, I totally apologize. He goes, I forgot about the interview. To be honest, I'm just kind of get over being sick. I feel good enough to do the interview. I want to go and do the interview. I said, okay, you sure, Brian? I said, because I understand people get sick. If you want to reschedule, we can do that. But no, I'd like to do the interview. So we did the interview. It was a super great interview. And we talked about the fact that, again, Helix could be one of those bands. They got the catalog that if they never wanted to release another album, Brian wanted to go away and retire, he could do that. He could come out and do the Helix Greatest Hits tour every year. And he says, we do that. He says, but he goes, Jason, I always make a point of wanting to release new music. And I think for us Helix fans, that's a good thing. We're going to, Brian Vollmer is going to keep pumping out new Helix albums as long as he can do it. That's my honest kind of, prediction. And I also got to thank my good friend, Tom Mathers, who is the president of Paris Records. Like I said, Scrap Metal is the 14th release Helix has put out on Paris Records. Tom Mathers is a great connection I made years ago. Again, Tom being the president and CEO of Paris Records. He's got me a lot of great interviews over years. And I remember the first time I reached out to him about, this was years ago, about interviewing Brian, and he hooked me up. And so I really appreciate that. Tom Mathers himself, I love what he does. Tom Mathers, if you know anything about his history, he started out like a lot of people as a musician himself. He was in the band Cherry Street, and they put out a couple of great releases. That was the main reason Tom formed Paris Records. But once Cherry Street folded, Tom decided to get into the record business himself. He launched Paris Records full time, and over the years, he's worked with great bands like Love Hate, Babylon AD, LA Guns. Helix, of course, is probably one of the bands that he's released the most and worked with. So I got to thank Tom for what he's done with Paris Records and all the great interviews he's given me over the years. I can't wait to see what is next. Also, in regards to Tom Mathers and Paris Records, one of the bands they've put 2 great releases out the last couple of years is Paul Idell's Scream Therapy. That's a great band on Paris Records. So I urge you guys to check that out. But again, we've been wanting to highlight Helix and their latest album, scrap metal, and I just can't say nothing great things about it. So go out and get the album. You can get it on Paris Records, and that's the other thing. It was I remember ordering, actually pre-ordering my copy of scrap metal, getting it off of Amazon, and a lot of people get their music through Amazon these days. I remember wanting to have it release day, so I pre-ordered it. It was in my mailbox when I came home from work. The day it was released, and I think I remember reading it did so good on Amazon. It was like a top one of Amazon's like top 50 sellers or something like that. So way to go, Helix! I can't wait to see what is next for the Helix fans. But check out the Scrap Metal album. Great, great album from top to bottom. And man, so just check it out. And I don't, it doesn't really matter to me. These songs were written 15, 20 years ago, and they're just coming out now and finally seeing the light of day. A great tune is a great tune. It doesn't matter when it was written. So I am Jason JRock Houston, and this has been our Helix special highlighting scrap metal. And in case you haven't figured out, I'm a huge fan of this album. And Helix, they always deliver the metal goods. So take care, my friends. See you again real soon. Bye for now.